Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I'm Laurren Darr with Left Paw Press and International Association of Pet Fashion Professionals, and I am here to give you an overview of my latest book, Pet Fashion Industry Patterns, and I cannot tell you how elated I am that this book is finally out into the world. This was like birthing a baby, because it's been, actually it took longer than what a baby would take to incubate. So anyway, I've been working on this book since 2013 at least. It's gone through many iterations, and I am so excited to finally have this book out into the world and to be able to share it with everyone. I feel like that this is one of those things that really needs to be done to help bring pet fashion and the pet fashion industry into the mainstream and into the forefront of people's minds. I just kind of feel like it's time for the pet fashion industry to kind of get its due. And honestly, when you go and you look for anything about the pet fashion industry, there's not a whole lot out there, and it's really very disappointing that you can't find a lot about the pet fashion industry, and you can't find a lot of trending and forecasting, but it's one of those areas that most definitely it warrants the book and things like that. And so some of you, let me take a step back. You may be asking, why did I do this, or who am I to write this book, this kind of thing. Well, I've been what I'll call a lifelong pet fashionologist. I, from my first rescue pug, White Pines Tootie, which if you want to read about her, you can read about that in Lipstick on a Pug. That was Children's Book of the Year for Dog Writers Association. That came out in 2015, and White Pines Tootie was my first rescue pug, and I used to dress her up and put clippy earrings on her and around in a laundry cart, and we just thought we were fancy. So I feel like I've been like this lifelong pet fashionologist, and when it comes to other things related to the pet fashion industry, my background, my career was actually in marketing, and so it all kind of came together at one point in time in 2013 when I launched the International Association of Pet Fashion Professionals, because I'd gone to like Pet Fashion Week and pet fashion shows and things like that, and thought, hey, there's got to be a trade show association, right? And I found that there actually was not a trade association that specifically dealt with the issues of pet fashion folks, and it didn't have specific tools and educational collateral that people would need when it comes to the pet fashion industry. So that's really a big goal of mine, is to share that kind of thing and create tools like this Pet Fashion Industry Patterns book, which is a play on words, of course, because it's about trends in the pet fashion industry, and to get that information out there. So one thing, speaking of pet fashion industry patterns, I will note that this is an overall trend book. It is not one of those books that's about what's going to be the latest thing in the spring, summer, or fall. To me, those are types of things that really deserve to be put in a different type of venue. They should be in blogs and magazines, newspapers, TV, magazine shows, those kinds of things. But when it comes to overall trends that are related and pertinent to the pet fashion industry and can help designers or design companies that make any type of stylish pet product, really, help them catch that wave so that they can continue to generate more revenue. That's really more what this book is focused on. The other thing is, it would make an awesome table, book, and conversation piece. Many of you know my husband, he's a geneticist, and he takes books into the office, and patients are in and out all the time on a regular basis. He has this sitting on the table in his office, and there are people that are actually like, hey, cool, and they thumb through it, and they find it very interesting. So, it can be a conversation piece in that way. So what I'm hoping is to really help people understand trends that are going to happen in the pet fashion industry with this book, and also really start bringing pet fashion to the forefront of the pet industry overall. I would love to see some of these studies that are done have a separate line item in their studies, much like they do like pet treats or similar subject matters. Have those in those studies that is specific to pet fashion, because I think that the industry is growing to the point where it should have that just due. And so how did this book come about, and why has it taken me so long to do it? It came about because I found myself over many years, definitely in 2013 and prior to that, I would just notice little things here and there when I would go to a pet fashion show or just be out and about, and something would hit me and I'm like, oh, that's something that we should really watch, because that somehow could show up or pop up in the pet fashion industry itself. And I've been one of those lifelong observers. That's why I call myself a pet fashionologist. I was always kind of more that that nerdy girl in school. You would find me more, minding my P's and Q's and being more in the back of the class, hiding from the teacher and anybody else, because I'm just one of those people observers. I've had more fun hanging out with my dog and that kind of thing. So this is really just based on, I would write things down or have an idea, and I would throw it in a file, and then all of a sudden it came to me, wow, I have a lot of material here that I can put together, and I started putting it together in a book. And this went through so many different iterations, and you'll see, because I'm going to do a screen share here during the Facebook Live broadcast. It went from being like this really staunch business book that you would find in the business section, and it's like, button up book, and then it just didn't feel right. I was like, this is pet fashion, so let's really do something different. It may not suit everyone. It's definitely not going to make necessarily those people that are really staunch about how business books should be. They're probably not going to be happy, but you know what? Pet fashion is its own animal within itself, so hey, that's why we've done the book the way that it is. It's a hardcover book, as you can see, my holding it here, and you'll find that we've got some really interesting photography mixed with fashion illustrations that are done by Florina Boldy, and she's fantastic. I'm so excited that I found her. I've been so lucky and blessed that she's done so many things for International Association of Pet Fashion Professionals, and I couldn't be more happy or pleased with her and her work and her contribution to this book. What you'll find in here is, prior to the release of the book, we did have different people review it. So I'm going to go through the reviews. I'll go through the 4 sections that the book is broken down into, and then we'll go through the different chapter titles that have, like, in my opinion, they're really catchy and pithy. So if you want to look it up, you can see the book on Amazon. It's already out there. People are already grabbing their copies and tagging me on posts, which I love. Keep that coming and keep on doing that. And if you want to run out there and write a review, I would love for you to do that also. But what we'll do is go through some of the reviews, and I think what I'll do is go ahead and, not the most astute person here, and I wanted to switch this over to the screen share, and it's not letting me do that, so maybe I won't be able to do that. Okay, so, okay. Yeah, it's not letting me do that. The little button's missing. Okay, anyway, so I'll just go through the reviews. We had Dana Humphrey, she's known as the Pet Lady. She said, if you're interested in trends in the pet fashion industry, then this is a must-read for you. From birds to ferrets to dogs and cats and other small animals, you can learn the history, technology, and functionality of dressing your pet in style. Let the pet fashion expert Laurren Darr walk you through the wonderful world of animal couture. And then Maria Melito, she's a wonderful animal advocate. She hosts a lot of New York City pet fashion events, and she said the Pet Fashion Industry Patterns book is the guide to make you a trend-setting fashionista. From our four-legged to our winged pals, all the information and guidance you need is here at your fingertips, or paws if you prefer. So we also have Susan Marie of the Doggy Diva show. Fantastic show. You should catch that every Saturday, by the way. All of her dog is usually making the announcements on their Facebook page, and it's really cute. It says, informative and thought-provoking. Pet Fashion Industry Patterns combines Lauren's love of animals and fashion, detailing how this connection has led her to a profound understanding into both worlds. Laurren recognizes the special bond between humans and their pets and continues in the pet fashion industry patterns to inspire and guide those of us in the pet world to successfully incorporate her unique insight into pet trends and marketing into our business plans. 4 paws up. There are several other reviews, and maybe I'll come back to those. I won't read them all to you at once, but Carol Bryant of Fidos of Reality, Jennifer Bartok Taylor of Celebrity Catwalk, Ada Nieves. She was the first certified pet fashion designer at FIT and chairs the New York Pet Fashion Show, along with Greg. He also did a review, and he's with Hampton's Pet. And Stephanie Matera. She's an animal advocate and lifestyle expert. I'm sure a lot of my New York people know her. And Nancy Hassel of American Pet Professionals, and Carl Ferrando, who was actually one of my professors at FIT, where they have the Fashion Institute of Technology, the Pet Product Design and Marketing program. So going back to how I designed this, one thing that came to me while we were in the final stages of the book was this quote from Steve Jobs, and it says, "That's been one of my mantras, focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean and make it simple." And when I saw that quote, I was like, wow. First of all, I've always been an Apple fan. I've learned design programs on an Apple and things like that. And that's why I really kind of broke it down and went back to basics with this book and broke it down into very simple overall sections. And then I made very simple, specific chapters that are condensed, but they're packed with information. So the 4 sections of the book are, we have pet trends, if I can get this in the screen here, and then we also have lifestyle trends, and you'll probably see that all of these sections are kind of color coded and coordinated with the cover. Market trends, I know my designers will figure that out. And micro trends. So those are the 4 sections of the Pet Fashion Industry Patterns book, and what I'll do is just kind of explain to you what each of those sections entails. For example, the pet trends section of the book is broken into different reflections on the types of pets that the fashions are leaning toward. The lifestyle section, the lifestyle trends section, it covers more like human behaviors that are affecting the pet fashion industry. The market trends, it's in a section that really outlines some specific tendencies to note within the pet fashion market. And then I had these little snippets of other things, and I called that micro trends because it really summarizes and brings to light some small but very significant annotations that may become bigger later that also affect the pet fashion industry. And so that's how I broke down the 4 different sections. And one thing I really want to show you is how the chapters are done. The chapters each are color coded, of course, if I can get this in here. But here's the artwork. Nope. Over here is the artwork, and it's on a black and white background for each of the sections. So I had Florina illustrate something for me that was representative of the topic of that chapter. And then we dropped it onto a black and white background. First of all, it makes her illustrations pop off of the page. Obviously the screen's not going to do it justice, but it pops off the back of the page. But also, there's significance to the photograph. Also, what I did was research some of the most fashionable cities in the world, and there's 30 different chapters. So there are 30 different black and white photos of those cities, and each of those has a really interesting tidbit or nugget about that city itself. So, for example, the first one is Amsterdam, and it says the Museum of Bags and Purses in Amsterdam has over 4,000 specialty bags in its collection. So I wanted this to be an informative book. I wanted it to have information in it that are like, that's kind of cool, and draw people in to want to read it, so that when you get into the meat of it, you realize pet fashion is a very serious industry. And that's part of the reason that we did the really pithy, some might say a bit sarcastic, chapter titles. So, for example, this first chapter, it's titled Bark with the Bigger Dogs. And this one is on pet fashion moving toward not just having the smaller dogs, but also being inclusive of bigger dogs in the pet fashion industry itself. And there are always, in every chapter, it's not just my forecast and foresight. It is backed up with numbers and trends from different types of studies. So there's a lot of meat, and I dare say a lot of creativity in a really small package in each of one of these different chapters. So while we're here, why don't we just go through the different chapters? Right now we're in the pet trends, and I've already mentioned Bark with the Bigger Dogs. And then the next one is Perfect Pet Fashion. I'm sure you can guess what that chapter is about. Then we have the chapter Fashion Goes Afoul. And we also have the chapter Chicks Dig It. And Guinea Pigs of Pet Fashion. I wonder if I scoot this way, if that'd be better. Hey, maybe so. All right. And then we also have Ferret Out Some Fashion. So, hop into pet fashion. And catwalking or runway shows. And you'll see that the artwork has several different types of pets on it. And then our collar coordinated section goes into the lifestyle trends section, and I'll cover that. And this is Fabulous Fashion meets Function. And Pet-tacular Technology. And then we also have Time to Party. That's one of my favorites. Here Comes the Pet Wedding. And Posh Pets. And Jet Set Pets. And then the next section is Market Trends. And I'll go through the chapters here. It's Tail Wagging Markets. So that's going to be on markets to look out for. And Fetching New Threads. Of course, I like that one because it's got a pug illustration on it. Social Sixth Sense. Eco Fido. And of course, I love that one too because our blue and gold macaw, he passed away last year, but KO was one of our favorite pets. And Pet Athleisure. And Pet Fashion Touchdown. Super Pet Models. I know there's a lot of folks out there that will love that one. Spa Treatment. And Bark is the New Black. And as we're going through here, you can also continue to see the photos in the background of the different cities. Possum Fabrics. Pet Accessories. And then the final section is Micro Trends. And the Micro Trends section, if I can get back to it here, just showing you that. This section has breed-specific clothing, along with Here Comes Fifi in the Baby Carriage. That's a really interesting chapter. I had a lot of fun writing that one and researching it. Rainbow Bridge Bounty. And Power Shopping. And Cosmopolitan Pets. So those are the chapters, and you'll see that obviously everything was purposefully done in a way to kind of at first grab somebody's attention, because when I go to cocktail parties or networking events and you mention pet fashion, you kind of get that look that some of your dogs get on their face when they act like they're trying to understand what you're saying. But I get this sense that they really kind of want to blow you off, quite frankly. And so I wanted to do something that would really get somebody's attention. But then when you get into the chapter and the meat of it, you realize that this is serious business, and there's a lot of statistics and facts to back that up. So I hope that you'll grab yourself a copy. I hope this was informative. I've had a lot of questions from people about the book itself. It's purposefully a hardcover book, and people that reviewed the book, they were wonderful and had great remarks about the book itself. But then when they actually got the copies in their hand, it was like, wow. Just seeing the PDF didn't really do this book justice, because I was very particular about it being hardcover, the design, the photography, the illustrations, and things like that, so that it's a book that I hope is very representative and gives the pet fashion industry the attention and the justice that it deserves. So, like I said, it's available on Amazon, and you can hop over there and grab a copy. I think I had the link in the overview for the Facebook Live And one note about Amazon, they do some funky things with their algorithms. So if it says it's out of stock, quite frankly, it's not. That's just one of those things that they do, and I'm not sure why. They say it's a marketing tactic, but I don't know that it really helps them sell things. So anyway, know that Left Paw Press books are always in stock. I welcome and enjoy all of your feedback. And if you do get a copy of the book and you'd be willing to do a review, that's really helpful on Amazon, and I would certainly very much appreciate that. So have a wonderful rest of your weekend and enjoy.